Hello everyone and welcome to Tucker Translate. See the disclaimer above and the socials on the side. Dewa, let's look at today's topic.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tucker Translates. Today I just want to talk to you about Trados. And well, Trados is just one of many cat tools out there. But I've used Trados ever since the beginning of my translating career, and I like to use Trados to its fullest extent. I've taken the time to learn things about Trados that other people might not, and I think it's important that to use everything that Trados can do to help us perform our work more proficient, and more accurate. And there's lots of functions in Trados that does just this. So 3 main things I'm going to talk about today. One is the translation memory and internal matches. This one. Second thing I'm going to talk about is the term base and fields. And the third thing I'm going to talk about is Concordant Search. So let's go into it. Number 1, translation memory and internal matches. Now, I think everyone out there knows what translation memory is. It's just when you confirm a segment, that segment is then updated into the translation memory you have set for the project. And then you could use that segment as memory later on. For example, if that segment that you confirmed is above a 75% match with something below, then it will show up as a possible translation that you can use. And this is really useful. It helps us work more efficiently and also more accurate because you're using what you have used before, and so it's there. It's what you've done previously, so there's no chance of using the wrong terms and even different expressions. And this is also what an internal match is, when in the same project you're using the memory in that way. And not many people know, but you can find out how many internal matches are in a project you're working on. So let me show you that first up. So when you are in edit mode, go to batch task, go to analyze files, and here in this window, analyze files, that's what we want to do. Hit next and go down to the submenu here and have this checked. Report internal fuzzy match leverage. Uncheck everything else, make sure that's checked, and hit finish. And that will run, and when it's finished, a report will be created. And to see that report, you come down here to the report menu. Now here we go, we scroll down a bit and we see here we have internal, and the numbers here are just that, the internal matches. So we can see here internal matches with from 95 to 99%. 6% of the project is an internal match of this high percentage. That's great. And even here we got nearly 5%, here nearly 9%. So these are really good numbers. You can see just here, I mean 15%, getting up to 20% of the project. You will be able to use these matches, and that'll make your work faster and, as I said before, more accurate. Be able to produce more accurate translations, consistent, accurate translations. So that is how you find the internal matches in the project you are currently working on. Useful information right there. Just to show you an example of where this commonly appears, probably the most common place this appears is in the claims and in the summary. So we come down to the summary here. You can see that we're getting a match, which is our paragraph for claim 1. It's just got a little bit extra here, which we can just type out, but it's word for word what is in the claims. That's excellent. And the next one down is the same, so we can just be doing Control T to bring this in. Control T, there's nothing changed here, to bring this in. But on up here, because it's got this extra information, just Control T to bring it in, and then just add a little bit extra on top, according to our first aspect of the present invention. And there we go. So it just makes your work so much faster. The other place you will often find it is in the description of the drawings. So here I've translated these top ones already. And you can see coming down here, 99% match. Just changing a number. Just changing second to third, and boom, just like that. And again, just changing little things here, just changing the number from second to third of another embodiment. So as you can see, these sections commonly use internal matches, but even in the detailed description, you will often have the first embodiment described. Then in like second and third embodiments, you may use entire paragraphs from that first embodiment. So using internal matches like this is just so good, and this is the reason why we use Trados. This is probably the main reason we use programs like Trados, because getting those internal matches just saves so much time. Alright, let's look at number 2 in our list of things today. We're going to be looking quickly at term bases. So you can see I have my term recognition window up here. So we're getting some matches from the red lines here. And you can see that, well, this is already translated, so actually we might go down to something which is not translated. Okay, so here, we've got some red lines here, and using the term recognition, the term base function, allows us to translate faster, because see this term here, land portion, we can just type one letter and it will appear. This makes translating so much faster. We can just type one letter and this whole word appears. When we want to type this word, we just do the same. One letter and it appears. This is actually unique to Japanese to English translation. For people translating from English into Japanese, this function is not actually useful. I've heard from my colleagues, I don't know firsthand, but it's just not useful, it doesn't work, or just because of typing kanji, you only have to type 1 or 2 kanji and it's there. So this is only for Japanese to English translators. But you can see, just being able to type one letter and having the whole word appear makes us able to work so much faster. One quick tip, when you are translating and entering terms, I like to add both the term without the reference number and with the reference number. If you add both in, you won't make mistakes with the numbers. It'll also help you realize when there are mistakes in the source, because there'll be a number after it, but it's not the number that was in the term that was registered. And sometimes the number doesn't appear, like in the claims, so that's why you still need to register both. Just a quick tip there. And one last tip to do with term bases is, with terms you register, you can actually set up your term base with fields. They're called fields, and one field that I have set up for in my term base, I've just called it notes And it's just a field that I use just to write memos about the term. For example, if it's a term only used in chem, or if it's a term specific to another field, or if it's a term that I don't see a lot, but I just need that little bit of description there to remind me what it means. And I might be able to show you the wizard right now. Let me try. So when you create your term base, you can create a new term base with the create button right here. New file-based term base. And when you're going through the wizard here, we're just creating a new term base. We'll just give it a name. Hi. We're going to say the languages are Japanese. Put that across. And English. Put that across. We don't need sub-languages. This is all fine. And it's here. These are the fields that I'm talking about. So for example, I'm going to add a field called note. And other fields you might want to put in, for example, might be client. If you work with different clients as a freelancer and they have different terms, put in client. And when you have the different fields that you want, hit the next. And this is where, sorry, go back here. This properties button is where you choose what kind of field it will be. You can see here we have a list. The field can be of text data, of number data, Boolean data, date data, pick list, and multimedia file. So text is the most obvious one, the most easiest one, if you just want to write a memo or, client names. But another useful one is pick list. It allows you to create a list. For example, you could write if it's a term that you've got feedback about, you could have a feedback, and you could have one which you've confirmed. You could have those two options. And pick list just means you're able just to check one or the other, or none of them. It's just like an exclusive list you can create. So instead of typing out a note or typing out information, you're just able to choose from this selection. The last one, multimedia file, is just that. You can add a picture, so that when that term appears, a picture pops up and you're like, that's what it is. It does kind of require you to have the term-based recognition window kind of have its own big space, so that the multimedia file is fully displayed, but it's useful as well. For now, we're just going to go with text. We'll hit OK. For client as well, we'll just go with text. And then hit the next button. And here, you're able to add these fields to different levels. Now, the term bases have different levels. They have the language level, they have the term level, even the entry level. So our two languages are English and Japanese. You can have it pop up there. But my advice, just put everything at term level. This will mean the information pops up next to the term in a nice, easy to see manner. So we're just going to put note here at term level, add. We won't worry about client today, that's just for this demonstration, and finish. And now you have a new term base with that field attached. You can edit existing term bases. I thought you could. I'm sure you can. You can edit existing term bases and add fields. One problem I did find was that when you add a field to a certain level, once you do that, you can't then remove that field. So that's going to be a bit tricky about things when you added the field to a level. So make sure you know what you're doing there. All right. So let me show you what the field looks like. So in this term base that I have, I made it with the note field. You actually have to turn it on by default. So my hobby master term base, I'm going to turn on the note field here. I only have notes in the on the target terms, but you can put notes against the source terms as well. But I just, as my way of doing it, I just always add it to the target term. We turn that on and OK, and we can see here, this is a note that I've added. It's really hard to see, I'm sorry. But the note I added was this high. So it wasn't there before, and now it is. So that's how you add terms and show terms on your term base. Alright, the third thing on the list today is Concordant Search. This is surprisingly useful and not very well known. So what Concordant Search is, it's by default in this window here next to your translation results. And what it does, you don't even need to have it selected. When you're translating and there's something in the source that you want to go back and see how you translated it previously, or you want to check the consistency, you can just highlight it. I think you have to highlight it at least 3 characters. So we'll go here and hit F3. That's the shortcut. You can also hit up here, but it's just F3 is the shortcut. And if you hit that, the Concordant Search window will activate, and you'll see other segments that have been translated that have this same word in it, and you'll be able to see, okay, it's been translated land portion 4, land portion 4. You're able to check consistency. And this works even for expressions, because that's one of the hardest things to keep consistent. Are you describing things with consistency? And this allows you to do that as well. You see this expression here has been translated as schematically illustrating. It's been translated the same in all of these 3 segments. So it's kind of like when you want to level up your translation, when you want to get consistent in terms of expressions, this is a really good tool, this Concordant Search. So yeah, I recommend using it. Alright, so that's been some Trados tips for you. I hope it helps you out, and I encourage all of you to, try to get the most out of Trados. It's a great tool and really helps you work faster and more accurate, more consistently. I've only used Trados. There are other cat tools out there, and I'm sure they have similar functions as well. Alright, that's me signing out. Thank you.